I told them everything, from the first 5 a.m. morning to the note on my windshield. I showed them documents, copies of the tax returns, Verna's donation scam, the Facebook burner account Colin used, even the voicemail where he told me I ruined everything. The interview aired 3 weeks later. It ran under the headline, "Behind Closed Doors, When Family Isn't Family, a Whistleblower Story." They didn't hold back. Footage from W, photos of Verna's nonprofit events, church board members talking about money missing, ex-friends of Wade, confirming the stolen bike operation. Even a co-worker of Colin's, who said he always acted like a golden boy but took credit for other people's work. And then came the closing shot. Me, sitting in a chair, looking directly into the camera. Said one thing. They said I wasn't family, just help. So I helped. For real. The fallout was immediate. Verna was arrested a week later, charged with multiple counts of wire fraud, tax fraud, and embezzlement, church donations, traced to her personal accounts. Nearly $80,000, unaccounted for. She cried at the press. Conference told the reporters it was all a mistake. She was released on bail, but the trial date was already set. Wade, it turned out, he wasn't just flipping stolen bikes. He was part of a bigger operation that had crossed state lines, federal charges. One of the bikes had been reported stolen from Tennessee. The police raided the garage and found parts, VIN tampering kits, and ledgers with names. He tried to deny it. Then they showed him the video footage I had taken 2 years ago, one he never knew existed, where he bragged to his friend in the backyard about making a clean $5,000 off that Yamaha. Wade was arrested in front of the house. Cameras caught it. Colin, well, he went into hiding after losing his job, moved out of the house. The church cut him off. His ex in Wilmington blocked him after finding out he was still married when he sent those flirty messages. He tried reaching out again, this time through email. Just said, "I hope you're proud of yourself." I didn't answer. I didn't need to, because right after the CNN segment, I got a call from a documentary producer. She wanted to turn the whole thing into a mini-series about small-town corruption and female whistleblowers. She offered me a consulting role and a payment for the rights to my story. I said yes, and that money, I used it to rent a condo in Asheville with a mountain view, a new car, and to launch a small media training business. Now I help other women, especially those stuck in toxic homes and fake family situations, learn how to protect themselves, document abuse, and find a voice. The best part? That church Verna used to run? It collapsed. Donations dried up. Leadership resigned. They sold the building. The Yorkie, Muffin, she was rehomed through a rescue service. Last I heard, she's living with a retired librarian in Chapel Hill and has a huge yard too. Play and Wade is still awaiting trial. Verna too. The feds are involved now. And Colin? Still nothing. He's just a footnote now, a quiet man who let his silence do the damage for him. As for me, people know who I am now, and not because I packed lunches or walked a dog, but because I didn't stay quiet when it mattered most, because I stood up when nobody else would, and I never went back. Welcome to Cheat Sheet Tales, where secrets slip, lies unravel, and the truth always has a twist. Real stories, raw confessions, shocking betrayals. Drop a comment if you've ever caught a red flag too late. Now, let's get into today's tale. Got up every morning at 5 a.m. to make lunches for my husband's parents, iron their clothes, and walk their dog. One afternoon, I heard my mother-in-law say, "She's not family, she's help." My husband didn't defend me. He just changed the subject. That night, I quietly packed one bag. A month later, they watched me on the news. I used to think I was a kind person, patient, helpful, the kind of person people could rely on. I didn't grow up with a lot, but I was. Raised to work hard, keep my head down, and be good to others. That thinking nearly ruined me. I'm Nina. I'm 34. I met my husband Colin when I was 27. I was living in Durham, North Carolina, working long hours at a local TV station, doing video, editing and tech work behind the scenes. I wasn't rich, but I loved my job. I loved staying busy. I liked solving problems. And when Colin came along, quiet, steady, polite. I thought maybe I'd finally found someone I could build a life with. He never raised his voice, never fought with me, never made me feel unsafe. At first, that felt like peace. But looking back, I think he was just empty. No passion, no loyalty. We dated for about 2 years, got married in a simple courthouse ceremony in 2020. No honeymoon. We said we'd save for a house instead. We moved into his parents' place. His parents, Wade and Verna, lived in an older brick house just south of downtown Durham. Not fancy, but nice enough. Big backyard, 2-car garage. Verna kept the place spotless. She had this tone in her voice that made every sentence sound like a test. At first, it was supposed to be 6 months, just until we saved up a down payment. Then it became a year. Then more. It started small. I'd wake up early to walk their dog, Muffin. Then Verna started needing help ironing Wade's work shirts. Then I was making their lunches, running errands, vacuuming, even though she already did it that morning. I didn't complain. I thought maybe they just didn't know how to ask for help nicely. Maybe they were old-fashioned. Maybe this was what being a good daughter-in-law looked like. So I told myself I was doing the right thing. I'd get up at 5 a.m. every morning, pack lunch for Verna, Wade, and Colin, always labeled. I ironed every piece of clothing they put in the laundry room, folded it, and left it in their rooms. I walked Muffin. Even though she growled and barked at me like I was a stranger, every day I'd get maybe 20 minutes to myself before I had to get ready for my own work, when I was still working. Once I quit my job, Verna made it clear it wasn't ladylike to come home after her son. They expected more, cleaning the bathrooms, organizing the pantry, even baking. And Colin, he just went along with it. Said, "They're set in their ways. You're doing great." He never told me to stop. Never told them to back off. Never offered to help. He'd come home, eat dinner, watch TV, and go to bed every single day. Then came the afternoon that broke me. I had a dentist appointment across town. I was gone maybe 2 hours. When I got back, I came in through the side door and I heard them in the kitchen talking. I froze in the hallway. Wade, she's doing all that now, huh? Verna, of course she is. She's not family. She's help. Then silence. Colin, anyway, I think I'm going to fix the car this weekend. He didn't defend me, didn't say a word. Just moved on like nothing had happened. I felt like I couldn't breathe. My face went hot. My stomach turned. I stood there for maybe 30 seconds. Then I walked upstairs and sat on the bed. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just went cold. That night, after they all went to bed, I packed one small duffel bag. Just clothes, my laptop, a few toiletries. I took my car and drove to my sister's place in Raleigh. I left my wedding ring on the nightstand. No note. No goodbye. Days passed. Not a single call. No texts. Colin didn't even ask if I was safe. That's when I knew I wasn't just being taken for granted. They really didn't care. I was just a body. In their house. Someone to cook, clean, and stay out of the way. And I wasn't okay with that anymore. So I started planning. I wasn't just some quiet housewife. Before all this, I worked in local media. I knew how to pull records. I knew how to investigate things. I knew how to put together a story and make people listen. And Colin's family had secrets. Wade worked at an auto repair shop part-time, but he also did private work out of their garage. I'd seen bikes come and go without plates. I'd heard hushed conversations. I'd seen cash exchanged at weird hours. At the time, I never thought about it much. But now I started connecting dots. Verna ran this fake little nonprofit ministry through her church. It looked clean on the surface, fundraising for the community, helping the elderly, that sort of thing. But I knew she was pocketing most of it. The receipts never lined up. I used to help her with the bookkeeping. And Colin? I found an old tablet he left at the house, logged into his Facebook. That's when I found out he had a second profile. Same name, but different email on it. He was messaging his ex from college. Flirty messages, asking when she'd be in Wilmington. Again, telling her he missed her. So I started collecting everything. Screenshots, photos, voice recordings, tax documents. I drove back to the house when they were out one afternoon and copied what I needed. They didn't even change the locks. Then, I reached out to Talia. My old coworker at WI told her I had a story and that it was real. She said, "Is this going to blow up a family?" I said, "Yes," and I sent her everything. The news piece aired 3.5 weeks after I left. They aired it on a Wednesday. I remember sitting in a motel room off I-40, watching it alone, with a slice of pizza and my laptop open. The story opened with a wide shot of the house. Durham couple under investigation for tax fraud and illegal vehicle resale. Verna was filmed outside the next morning, crying into a tissue and yelling at the reporter to leave. Wade tried to act calm, but ended up shoving a camera guy and getting cuffed. Colin? He looked straight at the camera and said, "No comment. They were wrecked, and it was just the beginning." Said she still hoped I'd come back home where I belonged. But the part that got me was this. "You know, Colin never wanted any of this. He still loves you. He just didn't know how to stand up in the moment. We all make mistakes, right?" There, that line. He didn't know how to stand up. He had every chance, every moment. I ironed their clothes, packed their lunches, cleaned up after their dog. He could have said, "She's not our maid," but he didn't. And now they were trying to drag me back like I'd forget everything. I burned the letter. The next twist came fast. One morning, Talia texted me, "Check the comments under the WL post. Someone's accusing you of being mentally unstable." I looked. There it was. Some account named T. Verna for Durham was posting nonstop under every story that mentioned Wade, Verna, or Colin. They claimed I was emotionally unstable, had a history of manipulation, and had been asked to leave multiple workplaces. They even posted an old photo of me from my college Facebook, one I'd forgotten even existed. Me, holding a drink at a party, laughing. I knew instantly who was behind it. Verna had gotten one of her church ladies to go on the attack, but what she didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I'd been working on something much, much bigger. Right after the first WL story aired, a lawyer contacted me. He worked with whistleblowers. He'd helped expose a local charity scandal a year ago. And now, with Verna's fake nonprofit on blast, he wanted to talk. He told me we had a case. He said they misused charitable funds. That's criminal. If you cooperate with investigators, you could qualify for whistleblower protections and maybe even a reward. So while Verna was calling me unstable on Facebook, I was sitting in a lawyer's office downtown, signing paperwork and turning over every single document I had. Then another shoe dropped. Renee, the woman from Verna's church who had seen her stealing, called me again. This time she said more people were ready to come forward. Verna had been bullying members of the church board. She'd forced one woman out for questioning a donation receipt. Another couple had given her over $10,000 for renovations that never happened, so we organized. 4 of us filed a formal complaint with the state attorney general's office. We gave them everything: documents, names, statements. Now it wasn't just a local news story. It was becoming a state-level investigation. That week, Colin lost his job. HR at his company had seen the story, and someone forwarded them screenshots of his second Facebook profile. I didn't even have to lift a finger for that one. Karma did it for me. But then, out of nowhere, I got an email from a name I hadn't heard in 10 years, Marco. Reporter, CNN Southeast Bureau. He'd been one of my mentors back when I first worked in media, the kind who actually cared about real stories. He'd seen the WL piece, the blog coverage, and the rising mess on social media. He wanted to do a full segment on small-town corruption and religious abuse of power. He asked me if I'd go on camera. Full name, full face. At first, I hesitated. But then I thought about how Verna stood on her front porch, crying for the cameras like she was the one who'd been betrayed. I said yes. I met Marco and his team in person at a quiet studio in Raleigh. Hair, makeup, the whole deal. This was no local news clip. This was national prime time. And it was all real. And it was all real.